Ahead on News 11, with the unofficial FREDFEST celebration this weekend, Fredonia police offer a warning. But how will they enforce the new guidelines? In one community is slow getting the vaccine, why the Amish are hesitant to get the shot. And with the Tokyo Olympics barely 3 months away, questions remain to the logistics of vaccinating the host country while welcoming athletes. These stories and more, News 11 starts right now.
Good afternoon and welcome to News 11. I'm Hope Winter.
And I'm Andy Velez-Davis. In previous years, this weekend of Fredonia semester would have been considered FREDFEST. However, with the pandemic, Fredonia police plan to crack down even more than years past to anyone partying in large gatherings. In an article in the Dunkirk Observer, Fredonia Police Chief Philip Maslach says the parties will be, quote, facing scrutiny, end quote, and reminded that Governor Cuomo's executive order that limits outdoor gatherings to 25 people is still in effect. This also comes as CDC eased mask mandates. Now, some roads in Fredonia during FREDFEST are usually packed with crowds of students. So where does one group of 25 start and another one end? We reached out to Fredonia Police to ask how they would be able to enforce the rules, but the chief did not respond.
You may have heard about Fredonia Mayor Doug Essex proposed 17% tax increase, but a unanimous vote, Fredonia Village trustees passed a plan that allows taxes to be increased by a much lower 1.4%. This is approximately a 50% hike for $1,000. Essex is disappointed in the vote as this change will decrease the salary of fire chief and lowers a possible pay raise for the police chief. However, the mere 1.4% increase has opened a new position for a personnel specialist with a salary of more than $50,000 a year.
A new restoration in store for Gowanda's historic Hollywood Theater. After 24 years in the making, the theater plans to have a grand reopening this summer and to schedule all kinds of shows from musicals, rock bands, movies, and more. The historic theater was originally an opera house that burned down. Many teams made efforts to reimagine the historic theater and bring it back to what it was in the 20s. Grant and Project Administrator Deborah Harris believes that this theater can spark revitalization in Gowanda.
The Roykoff campus in East Aurora gained a new sweet type of artisan this month. This past weekend, I went down to my hometown to catch the latest scoop.
If you've traveled along Main Street of East Aurora lately, you might have noticed a new shop blooming. Rosie's, a new handcrafted ice cream shop, has attracted a constant crowd morning to night, even during the pandemic.
I was shoveling out on the front deck as it was snowing through a line of people. It's been a good reception so far, so it's awesome. It's much better than the alternative.
The owners of the town's newest establishment, Deacon and Cassie Tasker, wanted to bring a new twist to scooping ice cream for their hometown.
We don't serve somebody else's product. We make almost every single thing that goes into the ice cream from scratch here on site. So we make all of our own caramel, we make all of our own cookies, we make everything that goes into the ice cream.
Rosie's here in East Aurora has a variety of their homemade flavors such as dairy and non-dairy options.
We have somewhere around 8 dairy products, so we use 14% butterfat content, and then we also have a handful of vegan options. So we use our 2 that we have right now are both with oat milk, which is delicious. It's probably 6 or 7 different versions of each ice cream that we actually do before we are happy with it.
The band pushed their grand opening almost a year after their original date, but the Taskers say they used all that extra time to perfect their flavors. In East Aurora with the Scoop, I'm Hope Winter, News 11.
For hours and more information about dietary options, feel free to check out Rosie's website at havearosieday.com.
For Western New Yorkers, a COVID vaccine might also mean a free beer in an effort to encourage Western New Yorkers to get the vaccine. Erie County is working with local brewer to hold pop-up vaccine clinics. The Shot and the Chaser program gives a free drink to anyone who gets the vaccine. The first clinic will open up on May 8th in Research Brewing Company, and you can register online.
On Tuesday, an Amherst man pleaded guilty for trafficking exotic African wildcats and was charged with violating the aminal Wow, I can't say that word today. I don't know why. Welfare Act. According to the United States Attorney's Office in Western New York, 38-year-old Christopher Kasaki advertised, imported, and sold dozens of caracals and servals between February and June 2018. As kittens, African wildcats sell for $7,500 to $10,000 each. They can grow up to 40 pounds and aren't domesticated, but Kasaki marketed them as house pets. He claims he was a big cat rescue organization and falsified transport documents hiding the species of African cats as domestic crossbreeds. Both species are protected under the Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, and laws in New York State restrict the sale and possession of these kinds of cats.
A Buffalo General Medical Center doctor has been accused of falsifying records in order to obtain the opioid fentanyl. According to the prosecutors, anesthesiologist John R. LaFossa was arraigned Tuesday morning in Buffalo City Court on a felony charge of falsifying business records. He was also charged with 2 misdemeanors, including 7th-degree criminal possession of a controlled substance and fraud and deceit related to controlled substances. LaFossa was not actually employed by the hospital, but instead worked for a private physicians group who provided anesthesia services to Kaleida Health Group. No patients were harmed or impacted because of the drug diversion. LaFossa was arrested by Buffalo police in March and was required to appear in court on Tuesday.
On May 17th, New York's 12 a.m. curfew will be lifted for outdoor dining areas and indoor dining areas beginning May 31st. Governor Andrew Cuomo also announced on Wednesday that the 1 a.m. curfew for catered events where guests must provide proof of vaccination or negative COVID-19 test result will be lifted at the same dates. Beginning May 3rd, catered events can resume in residencies following the state's residential gathering limit to 10 people indoors or 25 people outdoors. These kind of events must be staffed by professional licensed caterers permitted by the representative municipalities and strictly adhere to the health and safety guidelines, including social and event gathering limits, mask and social distancing. Seating at bars will also be allowed in New York City, consistent with the food services guidance that is in effect statewide. Cuomo also announced that starting May 15th, capacities would be increased for gyms, casinos, and offices, which have been proven to reopen safely.
The fair must go on, Governor Cuomo said in regard to the Great New York State Fair. On Monday, he announced the state fair will be happening this summer. The set dates for the state fair are August 20th through September 6th. However, there will be some modifications when it comes to planning this event. This will include limits in capacity to 50% and sectioning off the fair into quadrants for things like eating and attractions. In recent years, the fair has attracted more than 1 million visitors since January. The Expo Center on the Fair's property has been a vaccination center and has vaccinated over 345,000 people so far.
But in Governor Cuomo's announcement about the state fair, there are no mention about county fairs and whether they're still on for the summer. Erie County Fair CEO and Director Jessica Underberg says that she's been told to go ahead with the 12-day event without guidance. However, she also says that the county fairs need public gathering permits. She hasn't contacted County Executive Mark Poloncarz, but has been working with the Erie County Health Department. While she waits for more guidance, Underberg thinks a capacity limit is most likely, since a quadrant approach like the state fair won't work well in the Hamburg Fairgrounds. Either way, she is continuing to plan for the 12 best days of summer. The Erie County Fair is one of the country's largest county fairs, drawing in about 1 million people every year, similar to the state fair.
Nintendo Switch or Buffalo Pizza. A 9-year-old boy from Ohio made the decision this past week that is winning over Buffalonians' hearts on Twitter. Henley Gett's mother, Heather, posted on Twitter this past week saying that she gave him the option of either a Nintendo Switch or a trip to Buffalo for his upcoming 10th birthday. Kenley's deciding factor was the fact that he could try different Buffalo pizza places during the trip. Franco's Pizzeria in Niagara Falls saw the tweet and wanted to do a nice gesture. The pizzeria's marketing director, Walter Smitana, is giving the soon-to-be 10-year-old the Nintendo Switch as well. When we come back, your national headlines: Rudy Giuliani is in hot waters, shifts in the House seats, and billions of cicadas. We'll be right back.
We've been down there. You gotta do the same. All you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. Most executive service. It takes Takes no time, just sign on the line at the post office for selective service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you've got to register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time, just sign on the line at the post office for selective service.
The CDC released a new update on the mask mandate that says that those who are fully vaccinated can meet outdoors without masks as long as the crowd isn't significantly large. Fully vaccinated people can now gather indoors with others who are fully vaccinated without a mask or social distancing. The same goes for gathering indoors with unvaccinated people, with the exception of people who are at an increased risk of the severe illness from COVID-19. A person who is considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after their second dose for 2 doses vaccines such as Pfizer or Moderna, or 1 week after their first dose of the single-dose vaccines such as Johnson & Johnson. Fredonia is still requiring people on campus to wear a mask, but things could change for the fall as CDC guidelines change over the summer.
As more and more Americans have access to COVID vaccines, certain groups are still hesitant to get the shot. Specifically in Ohio, the Amish community in Holmes County, Ohio, half of the population is Amish. But according to the county's Health Commissioner Michael Durr, less than 1% of the Amish have received any dose of the vaccine. Much of the Amish engage in traditional communal living where families eat, work, and attend church together, but mask wearing and social distancing during these activities has been inconsistent. Health officials have said that many of the Amish believe their communities have already achieved herd immunity, so they do not see a need to get vaccinated. Vaccine misinformation is also very present in many Amish communities. Ohio, Indiana, and Pennsylvania have the largest Amish communities, and health officials in these states have increased vaccine efforts by establishing rural clinics and reaching out to the Amish communities and religious leaders to encourage the community members to get vaccinated.
A South Florida private school is no longer employing teachers and staff who have been vaccinated against COVID-19. The Setner Academy in Miami sent a notice to parents on Monday informing them of a new policy for its 2 campuses for about 300 students. Leila Setner, a co-founder of the school, said that she made a decision with a heavy heart, quote, a heavy heart, in a letter last week. Setner told local news, quote, we are not 100% sure the COVID injections are safe, and there are many unknown variables for us to feel comfortable at this current time, end quote. These changes have led many parents to have mixed emotions. One mother says, quote, the whole year has been unbelievably shuffled for all of us to know what to do, end quote. The mother remains anonymous due to her signing a document that prohibits parents from speaking ill about the academy.
On Wednesday, the FBI searched former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani's home and office, seizing several phones and computers. This was in response to an approved search warrant in the investigation of whether Giuliani broke lobbying laws when serving as former President Donald Trump's lawyer. Giuliani was involved in Trump's efforts to investigate Ukraine and President Biden's son and attempts to overturn the results of the 2020 election. In a recent statement, Giuliani calls the warrants a, quote, corrupt double standard, end quote. He also denied any wrongdoing. Giuliani's lawyer, Robert Costello, calls the warrants, quote, unnecessary, end quote, after claiming his client offered twice the answer of any of the prosecutors' questions, with the exception of his personal communication with President Trump. One of warrants of Giuliani's electronic devices suggested federal investigators were looking for communication between Giuliani and Ukraine officials.
The 2020 census data is coming in, and with some surprising and not surprising changes to the distribution of House seats among the states. New York State is among 7 states that will lose a seat. The others are California, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. For most of the Rust Belt states, this is nothing new, but for California, this is the first time in history that it's losing a seat. According to the Hill, some reasons for this include low immigration, high levels of migration and a slower than average population increase compared to the states like Florida and Texas. Texas is gaining 2 additional seats, while Colorado, North Carolina, Montana, Oregon, and Florida are all getting 1. The Hill explains the long-term population and associating economic trends will take decades to play out, so it's impossible to know what the slow population growth of the past decade means for the country for years to come.
Last Thursday, the House of Representatives voted to pass a bill that would grant statehood to Washington, D.C. The party line vote was 216 to 208. The bill still has to pass through the Senate, where it is unlikely to get enough Republican support. Democrats have been pressuring Congress to grant statehood to Washington, D.C., as it would be an important step to giving representation and voting rights to the district's population.
Apollo 11 astronaut Michael Collins died at the age of 90 after a battle with cancer. In his youth, Collins served 4 years at Air Force Flight Test Center at Edwards Air Force Base in California and eventually achieved the rank of Major General. In October 1963, he was chosen by as an astronaut by NASA and boarded his first flight, Gemini 10, in July 1966, where he became the 4th human to conduct a spacewalk. Collins was one of the 3 original crew members of the famous Apollo 11 mission in July 1969. He served as a command module pilot and remaining in a lunar orbit as often as forgotten, and he is also known as the forgotten astronaut. Collins' family says, quote, "We will miss him terribly, yet we know that how lucky Mike felt to have lived the life he did. We honor his wish for all of us to celebrate, not mourn that life," end quote.
Billions of cicadas are set to re-emerge this spring in the United States. The buzzing insects known as brood X come up out of the ground every 17 years, and it's one of nature's greatest mysteries, but it's likely a way to avoid predators. After spending 17 years maturing underground, feeding on sap and roots, brood X cicadas will all emerge at once in 15 states when soil temperatures reach 64 degrees. The noise that cicadas make in large groups can be as loud as a low-flying airplane, but they are not dangerous and are usually not drawn indoors. They do not bite or sting and are important for the ecosystem, so many environmental experts have urged people to not try to kill them. Many people often confuse cicadas with locusts, which are known to destroy crops such as in Lebanon, where Army helicopters have been spraying swarms of locusts in an effort to prevent further agricultural destruction. Much of East Africa was devastated by locust swarms in 2020. Luckily, our cicadas in the U.S. will not cause much damage, and their offspring will go back underground until 2038. All right, when we come back, Kevin Syracuse joins us one last time for sports.
We've been down there. You gotta do the same. Post office. All you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. Selective service. It takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you've got to register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down. Post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective Service.
Welcome back. Kevin Syracuse joins us one last time to tell us his sports report. Kevin, how was the draft last night? Did Bills get anyone good?
Well, we got our edge rusher. I don't know if it's the one that all of Bills Mafia wanted, but I'm pretty happy with it. So with that being said, with the 30th pick in the NFL draft last night, the Buffalo Bills selected defensive end Greg Rousseau out of the University of Miami. Rousseau opted out of the 2020 season due to COVID, but finished 2019 second in the nation with 15.5 sacks. Bills general manager Brandon Beane said that Rousseau has a knack for getting after the quarterback and that the Bills see him being part of the mix for a long time. As for the rest of the draft, we saw 5 quarterbacks taken within the first 15 picks. The Jaguars selected Trevor Lawrence number 1 overall, the Jets took Zach Wilson second, and the 49ers took Trey Lance third. The Chicago Bears traded up to draft Justin Fields at number 11, and then Mac Jones fell to New England at 15. Day 2 of the draft kicks off tonight at 7 on ESPN. In the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers are the first two teams in the East to clinch a playoff berth, while the Utah Jazz and the Phoenix Suns are the first two out west. In the NHL, Carolina, Florida, and Tampa have clinched in the Central. Vegas, Colorado, and Minnesota have clinched out west. Washington and Pittsburgh have clinched in the East, and so far Toronto is the only team up north to have punched their ticket to the postseason. The NHL playoffs start on May 11th, while the NBA playoffs start on May 22nd. And finally, as for our local teams, the Blue Devils baseball team will be in Oswego for a doubleheader tomorrow starting at 1, while the softball team will be home for a doubleheader with Geneseo starting at noon. The two softball games can be watched live on the Blue Devils Boxcast at FredoniaBlueDevils.com.
Well, thank you, Kevin. How's the weather going to look this weekend for the softball games?
So today is going to be really windy with a high of only 48 degrees and giving us a little bit of a break from the rain we had earlier this week. Saturday will be 61 degrees and partly cloudy. Unfortunately, you might need your umbrella tomorrow or for Sunday, and it will only be a high of 61 degrees with a 50% chance for rain. I'll be back in a few with your 5-day forecast.
Thank you, Kevin and Chloe, for joining us. We'll be right back with your international and some odd news stories.
Gotta do the same. Post office, all you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name for selective service. It takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office for selective service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you've got to register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, selective service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office for selective service.
With the Tokyo Olympics starting in just under 3 months, many are wondering how the Olympic Games will be held in a country rattled by the pandemic. Only 1% of Japan's population is fully vaccinated, while all of the 15,000 athletes traveling there to compete will already have gotten their shots. All athletes will be tested twice before leaving their home countries, and again when they arrive in Japan, and daily during the Games. Game participants will also avoid the 14-day quarantine upon arrival in Japan, but will be tracked with their app on their phones. Decisions regarding the venue capacity will be made in June. Fans from abroad will not be able to attend, and in terms of having spectators at the Games, Tokyo Organization Committee President Seiko Hashimoto says, quote, "We are in a very tense situation," end quote. More information will be available as COVID-19 guidelines and vaccination rates change within the next few months.
Speaking of vaccine rollout, on Tuesday, Kazakhstan launched its own promising new coronavirus vaccine. The country has been importing vaccines from other countries, but now has its own available to the general public. The CuRFEW vaccine requires 2 doses 3 weeks apart. It's currently in a stage 3 trial that will finish by July. According to the developer, the people included in the trial didn't have any major side effects. At a large shopping venue in the city of Almaty, the CuRFEW vaccine was the only option on Tuesday, but most people in line said the brand of vaccine didn't matter to them. Kazakhstan has also been producing and importing the Russian-made Sputnik V vaccine.
In India, the pandemic continues to worsen with over 200,000 deaths officially confirmed. More than 1.8 million cases have been confirmed in the last week, with an average of 2,000 daily deaths. As the number of new cases rises to a record level, hospitals are turning away sick people. These hospitals lack oxygen supplies, as an issue of experts expect to be fixed by mid-May. India has opened up vaccinations to all above age 18 in an effort to fight the virus. However, the country does not have enough supply for the 80 million people who are now eligible. Dr. Ashish the dean of Brown University's School of Public Health, states that India's COVID crisis is global. Experts feared the mutations of developing that could resist the current vaccines, undermining other countries' progress in containing the virus. President Biden met with the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi earlier this week, confirming that the U.S. intends to send COVID vaccines to India.
The leader of the Northern Ireland announced her resignation on Wednesday after members of her party pushed to remove her from power. Arlene Foster issued a statement stating that she would step down as the leader of the Democratic Unionist Party on May 28th, and as Northern Ireland's first minister at the end of June. Members of the DUP placed a vote on no confidence in Foster, stating unhappiness with her leadership over Brexit and social issues.
Okay, now Andy, do you like Mario Kart?
I love Mario Kart.
Well, don't you hate when you get that blue shell, like right when you're in first place?
Yes, I do.
Well, in Daytona, Florida, a 71-year-old woman driving with her daughter on an interstate suffered a gashed forehead from a turtle smashing through the windshield of their car. Another driver came to help them, called 911, and was surprised to find the turtle. It's speculated another car knocked the turtle into the air. Neither the woman nor the turtle were seriously injured, and he was released back into the woods with just a few scratches on his shell.
Looking for your yearly dose of Thin Mints, Samoas, and Do-si-dos? A Girl Scout troop in Christiansburg, Virginia has got their town covered with Wing. A branch of Google's parent company has added the iconic box cookies to their delivered drones drop-offs. Wing said they'd brought the idea to local troops because they were having a difficult time selling cookies. Gracie Walker of Girl Scouts of Virginia Skyline Troop 224 says, quote, "I am excited that I get to be a part of history. People are going to realize that hey, this is better for the environment and I can just walk outside in my pajamas and get cookies," end quote.
Well, whether you call it the Battle of Joshes, the Josh Royale, or simply Josh versus Josh, hundreds of people who share the name took part in the brawl this past weekend. Arizona college student Josh Swain organized the event last year when he issued a challenge with a group chat with multiple strangers with the same name. Giving coordinates with a date and time, he told everyone to fight for the right to keep their name. The standoff occurred in Air Park in Lincoln, Nebraska, and the winner, 4-year-old Josh Vision Jr. emerged victorious and was named Little Josh. The event wasn't purely just for entertainment purposes, though. By Sunday, the Josh Swain Fund had raised more than $10,000 for Children's Hospital and Medical Center Foundation, which provides medical services to children across Nebraska. Well, we're going to go back to Chloe to show us one more look at this weekend's weather.
Mother Nature is giving us no breaks this week with a chance for rain every single day except for Thursday. Fortunately, on Monday, the temperature will go up a little with a high of 64 degrees. Expect the rest of the week to cool down with most days averaging around 55 to 57 degrees. Tuesday will be 59 degrees with a 60% chance for rain. Wednesday will be 55 degrees with a 50% chance for rain. Things will clear up on Thursday with partly cloudy skies and a high of 57. We'll end the week on Friday with a 40% chance for rain and a high of 55 degrees.
Well, thank you, Chloe. And I guess we gotta take out our umbrellas and rain jackets this weekend, unfortunately. Well, thanks as always to our crew and those of you watching at home. We'll be back next week with our final show of the semester where our 4 producers will be anchoring. We'll also have a senior send-off for all of us graduating in 2021. Have a great rest of your afternoon.